as he gets the white flag.
Last lap.
He led only 8 laps on his way to winning. Now he's going to lead 179 if he just makes a couple of more corners. It'll be the 4th consecutive season with a race win. It'll be his 3rd consecutive win here at Homestead, Miami. And it's going to move him into 2nd all-time on the win list behind Sam Hornish Jr. with his 12th career win.
Excellent job, boys. Excellent job. Great way to start the championship. Proud to be part of this. Proud to be part of this organization. Engineers done a fantastic job with the Lanka testing. We get excellent.
1.8 miles to go. 14 turns starting now for Helio Castroneves. Can he hold off Scott Dixon? Does Dixon have anything left to try and get around Helio?
Well, if he doesn't make a mistake, guys, get the fence ready, because you know where Helio's going to go if he wins this race.
Bet you there's more than one photographer over there this year.
Yeah, but what part of the fence is he going to stop on, Marty?
I think he'll go to the same one, right there between 1 and 2. Not too many more corners coming up on turn number 9. It's going to take a mistake right now by Helio. Into turn 10. 13 and 14, and for Helio Castroneves, as he comes down the front straightaway, it will be his 12th career win. Ties him 2nd on the all-time win list with Dan Weldon, his 2nd road course win and 2nd in a row here at St. Pete.
Great job. You were awesome.
This time by, it will be the white flag. There it is. Tony Kanaan and Dan Weldon, and Weldon has cut it down to just 0.3 of a second. That's Weldon right behind him. Does he have anything to get around Kanaan? Kanaan finished 2nd here in 2004. He was 3rd last year. Is he going to win it? Weldon is closing quickly. They're through 3 out of 4 down the stretch. It's going to be Tony Kanaan taking the win for Andretti Green Racing. Dan Weldon in 2nd, and Dario Franchitti will cross the line in 3rd. To give you an idea while you watch this continuing, Tony Kanaan's last lap was 210. Whoa, and we've got yellow on the racetrack and a crash in turn 4, and Scott Sharp, who was running in 12th, has hit the wall and brought out the caution with 2 laps remaining.
Now, as in this, we will not run extra laps and start to do what they do, those green-white checker scenarios like they do in some other serials. So this looks like this will probably end up running and finishing under caution.
So a tough break for Scott Sharp. He had gotten as high as 6th place, but after the last round of pit stops, obviously something went backwards for him as far as the setup on the car. He had dropped back to 12th. And we've got a view of what happened to him as the Delphi safety crew tries to get him extricated from the car.
Now, Scott is the car that's in the very rear of that group and running by himself. Yes, there's some cars up in front. Probably a little bit of, we call that disturbed air, dirty air coming off of it, but without a doubt.
Nice job.
And as we come
Dan.
back, you see that Dan Weldon crosses under the checkered, under yellow.
Good stops. Great stops, guys.
Becomes our first 2-time winner this season. His 13th career win.
Excellent job.
Moves him into 2nd all-time
Really well done.
behind Sam Hornish.
To both the number 9 crew and the 10th crew. Unlucky for the 9th crew, but fantastic job by Target Team Racing. Proud of you guys. Thank you.
You heard Dan congratulating the team. And as we mentioned, the only Scotsman to win Indy was Jimmy Clark in 1965. That is until today. Tune up the bagpipes. Dario Franchitti will win at Indianapolis.
And Marty, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. He's been a gentleman racer, just like his wife Ashley Judd said. This guy's got to be loving it. Great for Andretti Green.
Hey, Chuck, your missus is on the wall there, too. Bloody good job, mate. That was yours.
There is your man of the hour, though, Tony Kanaan. It could be Remember, he won back at Motegi. If he wins here, it will be his second win this season. And if you remember, his second consecutive win here at Milwaukee. Here comes the white flag. 1 lap to go for Tony Kanaan here at the Milwaukee Mile. It'll be the 26th series win for Andretti Green Racing. That's the most of the teams. Team Penske is second with 24. Here comes Tony through turns 3 and 4. He'll take the checkered flag for his 9th win of the year. Let's listen in.
Nice job, DK.
Dario Franchitti finishes second. Dan Weldon third. Scott Dixon fourth. Vitor Meira with a great run to come in 5th. Scott Sharp 6th. Ed Carpenter 7th. And Danica Patrick comes back to finish 8th after being a lap down. Coming to the white flag this time by. Here it is. 1 to go.
White flag.
Remember we said last lap, last turn, that's what it'll come down to.
And in the high side, Tony knows he's going to have to do it up top if he's going to get it done. Down the backstretch, he tucks back in underneath. The last time Sam Hornish won was last year at Kentucky, almost a full season ago. It seems like it to Sam. Coming down to the checkered flag, Sam Hornish.
Good work, buddy. Good work.
Take a look further back. It's Franchitti getting around Meira for 4th. And Sam picks up his first win of the season and 19th of his career. Jackaroo.
And guys, Ed Carpenter is out of fuel.
Oh, so a tough break for Ed Carpenter. He had a career best run in his hip pocket, but just a few laps short. Not short for Dario Franchitti. He's got one more lap.
White flag, bud.
Less than a mile down the backstretch. If Marco has anything, he's going to have to do it on the high side because Dario's not giving up the low line.
Got a wing. Just the wing.
Coming out of 4. His win at Indy is backed up with a win. His inaugural run at Iowa. Second win of the season, 6th career win. His 3rd win on the tracks of 1 mile or less. Down the backstretch, Dixon and Weldon can only watch in awe and amazement as here he comes for the white flag. 1 to go for Dario Franchitti and a smiling Ashley Judd. This one, when he crosses the line, will be his 3rd win of the season. The first time he's won more than 2 races in a single season. Here he comes out of 4, your race winner, Dario Franchitti.
Hey, we Super Joe. Excellent, Mike. Great race. Bloody brilliant job, buddy. Fantastic. Good job, Will. Way to go, buddy.
4 of his 7 career wins now have come on the short tracks. It's the 28th IndyCar Series win for Andretti Green Racing, and Dario extends his points lead. And we'll talk to him when we come back.
Vince, let me tell you, down my end of the pits, and the white flag is out, we are starting to get some raindrops. It could be a dicey final lap for Scott Dixon and the rest of these IndyCar pilots. It's beginning to spit here on pit road.
Well, if we remember last year, it was an downpour almost at the end of the race, and Scott stayed out on race slicks, tiptoed his way around, and forced everybody else to stay out, and was able to pull off the win. So I don't think a few drops are going to scare this guy from Auckland, New Zealand, the 26-year-old, as he makes it through the bus stop chicane for the last time.
This is where you just try to hit all your marks, your braking marks, your turn-in marks, your apex and your exit marks, and you're really not trying to really extend yourself too much. You're going to stay off the curbs. You're just going to stay on the racetrack itself and hope that everything is going to go smooth for you in the final lap.
Tony Kanaan has gotten past Marco Andretti, so move TK up to 4th, drop Marco back to 5th. Meanwhile, Scott Dixon, you heard Vince talk about Dan Weldon. Well, his 3 straight have come at Homestead, Miami Speedway. And for Scott, it looks like it's going to be the hat trick here at Watkins Glen. That's turn 8, only a few more to go. No pressure from behind. All he has to do is manage 2 more corners. Dixon through turn number 10. He's led 133 of 455 laps in the last 6 road course races. He's going to see the checkered flag for the 3rd year in a row at Watkins Glen, the 7th of his career.
Great run. Good job, and the time you stand in the pits today, you guys, exceptional.
And look at, he's not even waiting to take a victory lap. He's down in turn 1 area doing donuts. Vince? Next time by, it'll be 2 laps remaining.
And throughout this whole race, what's ended up happening is that Scott Dixon, getting back up in front, has now led 103 laps versus the 86 or 88, excuse me, to Dario Franchitti. So he gets the 3 bonus points for leading the most laps in this race. So that helps towards his championship drive also.
Yeah, and Mom and Dad are loving it too, as son Scott could be on his way to a back-to-back win. We're on the final lap. It's only the 3rd time, if it happens, in IndyCar Series history where we go from a road course to an oval with the same winners. Dan Weldon did it in 05, Elio in 06, and coming out of turn 4 with his 8th win of his career, 2nd consecutive win.
Great run today, man.
Scott
Got
Dixon.
most of that deal. Good job. Awesome job, guys. Awesome job. That's fantastic.
There it is, white
lap
flag.
now, 1 more lap.
2.25 miles for Scott Dixon. Through turn 1, up towards the keyhole.
Smart with his character in front of you.
There is Dario Franchitti, well back. Further back, it's Elio Castroneves and Tony Kanaan. What a drive for Kanaan, and what great strategy. Remember, he was 17th after the first lap incident, sending Marco Andretti out of the race. And he comes back in what looks like will be a 4th place run.
I'm not sure, Marty, that being stuck behind Darren Manning for quite a few of those laps looked like he had maybe a faster car than Darren did, but he seemed to lose the advantage that he had from being in the pit lane. Maybe he would have had an opposite shot of being further up front.
Would have been interesting. We'll never know. But right now, it's all about Scott Dixon. Up over turn 9, keeps the car from going too far over that rise where it becomes so loose. There's the Dario Franchitti into the carousel for the final time. The 3rd driver in series history to win 3 in a row. He joins Weldon and Kenny Breck. His 9th career win.
Okay,
3rd
buddy,
this season.
job.
There it is, the double checkers. As another 10 points carved off the championship lead.
Good job, man.
The battle for 3rd goes to Elio Castroneves. It'll be Franchitti 2nd, Elio 3rd, Tony Kanaan 4th, and Danica Patrick has her best career road course finish. Her prior best was 6th. She finishes 5th. It is right down low with Dan Weldon, Dario, and Danica on the high side. And here comes Marco. Oh, look out! Airborne! Franchitti's upside down. Dixon is involved. The wheels touched. Weldon is involved.
Airborne up here, got up into the pit. We got him coming down.
Through 3 and 4 again. Tony just able to hug the white line. Marco can do nothing. He won't open the door for him to get underneath. White flag. 1 lap to go at Michigan. A day that started, well, 7 hours and 40 minutes ago is finally going to come to conclusion. Who's going to win it? Will it be the 32-year-old Tony Kanaan from Brazil, or will it be the 20-year-old from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, Marco Andretti? Down the backstretch there, wheel to wheel, going into 3. Here comes Kanaan, just like before, able to close the door and take it through 4. Coming to the stretch, it will be Tony Kanaan in front with his 3rd win this season and 10th of his career, and Marco Andretti right behind. Scott Sharp comes in 3rd. Koski Matsuura ties his career best 4th. Buddy Rice 5th. Big night for these guys, a career best for AJ the 4th, if he can hold on. Coming out of 4, here comes the white flag for Tony Kanaan. He said at the beginning of the broadcast, I've got to go win. He knew he had to lead the most laps. He's done both of those. He's got to traverse this 1.5 mile oval 1 more time. Scott Dixon is going to close ground on our points leader, Dario Franchitti, as they come down the backstretch and through turns 3 and 4. Tony Kanaan, it'll be his 4th win this year, the first to 4, and his 11th.
Nice job, TK. Nice job. Good job, guys. Nice job. Hey, Brooks. Happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday.
Take a look. Oh, and we have a crash at the first turn after they cross the finish line. It is Koski Matsuura and Dario Franchitti.
He was trying to get underneath.
Oh my gosh, he goes up and over again?
Oh, can you count this as lucky or what in the world?
That looked like one of those hydroplane blowovers.
My goodness.
All right, here we go. We're going to go on board.
Now, you're not riding aboard a jet fighter right now when you start to see the sky. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
He just checks up and
touches the tire, up and over. Reminds me of a ride in a fighter plane.
this is unreal. And there goes the onboard camera. Here comes the white flag, so Elio is going for wins. That's all they wanted to do. We talked to Tim Cindric this morning. He said, we want to be in a position to win this race. That second place doesn't matter.
Just you want to have the win column at the end of the year that you look at, but right now Dixon is so strong. Remember, he's won the road courses here at Mid-Ohio and Watkins Glen, a road course specialist. That's not to say that Elio Castroneves is not. But more importantly, both of these guys want to win for different reasons.
And there is the gap back to third place, and there's his wingman, Tony Kanaan. Kanaan has sacrificed his championship hopes. This will definitely, it won't mathematically put him out, but it's basically taking him out of it. Meanwhile, up into 7, turn 7A. Dixon looks like he has enough to make it all the way to the finish line.
Bring it home, baby.
You heard him on the radio. Of course, Dixon, a former champion of the series. The reference to come on, champ. Will he be the champion again? Well, he's going to take the points lead. With this win here, he's just got a few more turns to negotiate. Elio takes a look, can't get it done. Coming through the final corners, Scott Dixon will be the second man to win 4 races this year, his 10th career win here at Infineon.
Way to go, buddy.
Back in third place,
How you doing?
it is Dario Franchitti with Tony Kanaan in 4th, Sam Hornish 5th, Danica Patrick crossing the line in 6th, Dan Weldon 7th, Thomas Schechter 8th, Vitor Mira 9th, and Koski Matsuura rounding out the top 10. So the championship chase has tightened and the points lead has changed. You're looking at the new points leader, Scott Dixon, with his 4th win this year. We'll go side by side and talk to him when we come back to Infineon Raceway.
Scott Dixon was coming through on the inside because Dixon now is starting to be more aggressive, Marty, because he knows he's getting pressure from Franchitti. It looked like everybody was willing just to sort of sit where they were and collect points. But we're going to come up to the white flag, and you can see Franchitti just pushing the foot on the throttle, trying to get it done.
Oh, and Dixon's going to look under, and Rice goes into the barrier, and then Dixon spins, and Franchitti gets swept up in it.
Okay, here we are. What would Kanaan think of right now if that was the whole situation?
Full course caution. Pits will be closed, and this race is going to end under caution with 1 more lap to go. And Danica Patrick is going to inherit second place through all of this. And if the 27 car, think about this, if the 27 car could have gotten around Dixon after he takes the gamble, all of a sudden everything would have changed.
And I thought he was going to make it, and it didn't happen. I feel bad for Buddy Rice because he was trying his heart out just to make sure he could stay in front, and he was polite. He was polite, allowing Dixon just to give him a little bit of room on the inside, but it didn't make it all the way through.
And it looks like these two will probably cycle down to about 8th and 9th position. I'm not quite sure of that. We'd have to check. I got to make sure of that. Don't take that one to the bank yet. They may not drop down that far. So we've got this last lap to finish off, and Tony Kanaan is going to pick up his 5th win of the season, and this goes back to exactly what we have talked about. What if he had played it differently at Sonoma last week. This will be the best career finish for Danica, second to go with her 2/3 earlier. Let's go to Vince.
Michael Andretti, what was your thought there in the contact between Scott Dixon and Dario Franchitti?
Poor sportsmanship is what I saw. I mean, he clearly took Dario out on purpose. I mean, he was rolling there. He was going fine. Then he saw Dario was ready to go to the outside of him, let off his brake, and took Dario out. I mean, it was totally on purpose. I'm protesting this. This is that's not the way to do it. I'm really disappointed in Scott, to be honest with you.
Marty?
Well, I'm not sure he's seeing the same race we're seeing. I got to be honest here. I mean, the contact was with Buddy Rice and then down further. I mean, we'd have to see it again. Oh, and Dario gets refired and will be able to come around. And I don't think he'll pick up many positions, or he might get it. He gets ahead of Dixon. That's the one thing. So there will be a few points.
It's a little easier sometimes for the driver than it is for the crew.
You heard the call. We're back to green flag racing. 2 laps to decide the championship. And they're out front on the high side. It's Dario. Underneath, it is Scott Dixon. Who has enough fuel? Coming out of 2.
And Dixon's pushing Dario up to the high line, but he's got to watch the low side because here comes the 6 car of Sam Hornish, who might just play a part on who gets the surge across the line for the final lap.
Coming to the white flag. 1 lap to go, this time by. The championship at stake. Who's going to get it? Will it be Scott Dixon from New Zealand or this year's Indy 500 winner, Dario Franchitti from Scotland? Down the backstretch for the final time. Dixon in control. Into 3. If Dario has anything, he's going up, and Dixon's out of fuel. Dixon is out of fuel. Dario Franchitti's going to win the race and the championship.
You lost it. Not even perfect, mate. Unbelievable. Stop in turn 3. Stop in turn 3. Stop in turn. He was on the left. That was mine. Stop.
That gentleman you saw was Dario's father, George. That's him right there. There is Scott Dixon out of fuel in turn number 1. And I don't think Dario has much fuel left in him either.